Is this $1,700 Eames Chair replica worth the price tag, or are you better off saving up for the full priced Herman Miller? Today, I'm going to do something a bit different, and I'm going to review one of the most iconic lounge chairs of all time, the Eames Chair, and this one is from Sohnne. The Eames Chair is a design icon from the mid-century modern era, and it's been a staple in homes and offices for decades. So I'll be breaking it down in terms of the build quality, the comfort, and then obviously whether or not it's actually worth your money. And just as a disclosure, Sohnne did send me the chair for review, but I'm not being paid and they're not seeing the video before I publish it, so all of the thoughts are my own. All right, first let's look at the unboxing experience of this chair. And to be honest, the first thing that struck me was that the packaging was pretty humble. It wasn't bad, it was well packaged for the most part, but it's definitely quite simple, nothing fancy, which I assume is part of how they're able to keep the price on the cheaper side. When it came to actually assembling the chair, after I'd gotten it out of all the packaging, it was overall pretty straightforward, but this is actually a pretty solid piece of furniture with the chair and then the ottoman. So it did take me a little while to set up, maybe an hour to an hour and a half in total, and it is a struggle with just one person. So don't make the mistake I did and try and set it up by yourself. Get someone to give you a hand, especially I found putting the back on by myself was quite tricky just because of the overall weight of the material, which obviously is a good thing. And once I had it out of the box and started setting it up, my first impressions really did increase from here. I got the black leather version with a walnut finish, and both the leather and the wood really impressed me right out of the box. That was one of the first things I noticed when I first took it out, and all set up, the chair to me honestly looks amazing. It actually looks better in person than I thought it would, and to be honest, I think photos almost don't do it justice, depending on the photo of course. It really is quite a striking piece of furniture, and now when I've had friends and family over to my apartment, it's always the first thing they notice when they walk in the door and go into the living room, and everyone always just really wants to try it and take a seat for themselves. So far it's ticking all the visual boxes, but how does it actually feel? We'll get into that in just a second, but let's quickly talk about the actual build quality. So like I said, I got the black leather version, and I've actually never owned genuine leather furniture before, and I really can see the appeal. It just feels really nice to sit in. It feels nice to the touch, really soft, and it smells really nice as well. It smells like genuine leather. It definitely feels high quality and like it would last quite a long time. All of the stitching was great. I haven't found any defects with any of the leather so far, so no complaints there. And again, like I said, I got the walnut wood version, pretty much the same experience. There's no visible defects out of the box. It feels really sturdy and high quality, and I fully expect this to last for many years to come. And the actual metal base and the connecting components all feel really solid, and when you put them all together, it overall feels like quite a weighty chair. Even down to the screws that you use to attach the different components together, they all felt good. I think the only minor complaint was that the small plastic rings that go on the back of the chair felt a little bit low quality, but you honestly can't tell just by looking at them, and it doesn't seem like that would affect the integrity of the actual chair itself at all. Now, in comparison to the original Eames chair from Herman Miller, of course at this price point it's not going to be as high quality as the original, which retails for around $10,000. So this is definitely a fraction of that price, but to me that doesn't take away from the premium look. It to me looks identical to the original. Obviously I think if you are an expert then you could tell the difference, but for the average person I don't think most people would be able to tell. And like I said, I think I was a bit suspicious that there'd be some obvious defects or problems with things like stitching or the wood, considering this is a replica, but I was impressed. Like I said, overall I really don't have any complaints when it comes to the quality of this chair, and it feels in line with the price tag of about $1,700. This is the Premier Tall version. You can get a regular size version for about $1,500 US. So now for the important part, comfort. How does it actually feel to sit in the chair? Now, before I actually sat in it for the first time, there was one thing I was a little bit skeptical about, and that was the angle that the chair leaned back on. You can't adjust it. It's fully fixed. So I was a little bit worried that I wouldn't like the incline. And I was also a little bit worried about the fact that there's no headrest. So I thought maybe my neck would get sore from leaning back. However, the first time I ever sat in it, I was very impressed. The first thing I noticed was the soft leather. It just feels really plush and comfortable, both on the chair itself and on the ottoman. And then in terms of the angle of the chair, I think I pretty much straight away understood why the Eames chair has become so popular and so iconic over the years. It just feels perfect, honestly. It feels like the perfect angle to just sit and chill. But to be honest, since I received the chair a couple of months ago, if I don't have to be using my desk in here in my office to do something like editing, I will be sitting out in my Eames chair in the lounge room. It's that comfortable. And I'm talking like 5 to 10 hours per day, multiple days a week. So I'd probably pretty comfortably estimate that I've spent at least 100 hours sitting in this chair already. And it's amazing. To me, I love the versatility. It's great for just sitting, chilling, watching TV, playing some video games, reading a book, that type of thing. But it's also actually, I find, really good for focused work. Like like I said, I spend hours researching, writing, creating, all while sitting in the Eames chair. And in that whole time, it looks just as good as it did when I first took it out of the box. But there has been one complaint, and that is when I'm resting my elbows on the armrests, particularly when I'm typing on my laptop, you can actually feel the screws that attach the arms to the base sticking up through the chair a little bit. And so I find my elbows tend to just rest right on top of those screws. It's not super uncomfortable, so I often just end up moving my elbows just a little bit forward to take them off the screws. Now, of course, this isn't going to happen to everyone depending on the size of your body, but it's really just the one downside to me that this chair has. That said, let's talk about the aesthetics and the design. Now, one of the reasons I decided to opt for the walnut version is that I thought it was a bit more neutral than some of the other colors you can choose from. And I've definitely found this to be true. It fits both my lounge space and my office space perfectly, but I think that's also a feature of the design of the Eames chair itself. Again, I can really see now why the Eames chair has become such an iconic design, because it kind of perfectly blends style with comfort. It looks really nice, it fits in with a lot of different spaces, and it just feels really good to sit in. And I don't know about you, but I've definitely used a lot of furniture that only fits into one of those categories. And to me, the Eames chair is just a perfect combo of both of those things. I also always ask people when they first arrive whether they think it's a replica or a genuine Herman Miller, and so far no one has had the confidence to say either way. And I think most people who aren't experts in these types of chairs aren't going to be able to tell the difference. So if you're looking for the aesthetic of the more luxurious Herman Miller, I just don't think you'll be disappointed by a replica. So how does this stack up in terms of the price? Like I said, the original Eames chair can easily cost you upwards of $7,000 to $10,000, but this replica from Sohnne comes in at a fraction of that cost at around $1,700 for the tall version and around $1,500 for the regular version. And I think for most people, a chair that's worth $10,000 is just out of reach. So being able to get something that looks and feels quite luxurious is pretty incredible if you ask me. Sohnne stocks heaps of replica designer items, including this Olus Atolo 233 table lamp. And the replicas all come in at fractions of the cost of the original items. As an example, the original of this particular lamp is about $2,000 to $5,000, but is worth under $500 from Sohnne. And to be honest, this is absolutely my favorite addition to my desk setup in the past year. I think it just looks great. So is it actually worth it? Like I said, I was a little bit skeptical going into it because I kind of associate replicas with things that are cheap and on the low quality side. I've been incredibly impressed. I even actually went into this myself thinking there's no way I'd ever spend $1,700 on a chair, but now that I've used it, I actually think that I genuinely would. I'd say this chair is perfect for someone who wants the style of the original Eames, but doesn't want to spend the serious cash required to get the Herman Miller version. And like I said, the only real drawback is potentially that small discomfort with your elbows on those screws, and be prepared for the packaging to be a little bit basic. But overall, this replica Eames chair delivers in my opinion, and I highly recommend it. If you're interested in checking it out, feel free to use my affiliate link in the description, which will help support my channel and won't cost you any extra. Of course, absolutely no obligation to use that at all. And if you found this review helpful, don't forget to like and subscribe and leave a comment down below, and let me know in the comments if you have any questions. And if you want to see my entire home office setup, then check out this video here where I take you through the full thing.